got a lot to talk about with UFOs today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, to start with, Science Bob is talking about a CE5, or whatever you want to call it, with Chris Bledsoe, where 130 orbs in craft showed up. That's insane, guys. Can you imagine doing CE5 with Chris Bledsoe? Or I don't even know if CE5 is the right word for it with Chris. I think it is, more or less. But he basically just asked the UFOs to show up, and they do. And he can do it in a group. Here is Science Bob talking about this event.
No, I'm talking about flying straight over our head. 130 orbs, craft, and the last two did a, your old F-35 flyby, lit up, all of a sudden flew over the crowd, and big old angel wings spread out over the crowd. And I'm telling you, that crowd went wild. It was 130 different things counted. He's got video of much of it, and I'm sure he'll be putting it on Instagram and Facebook soon.
Man, I sure hope he does. Can you imagine seeing that footage? A craft or a being or something with angel wings coming out of it? Man, I hope that actually gets put up somewhere. Seems like all the juicy stuff never actually gets put up anywhere. You always hear about it second or third hand. So hopefully Chris will actually put this up somewhere. That sounds fantastic. Of course, will the cameras do it justice if it does get put up? I don't know. Time will tell, guys. But let me know if you're as excited about seeing that Chris Bledsoe footage as I am. I'm a huge fan of Chris Bledsoe. I think his information and his experiences are fantastic. And yeah, I can't wait to see it. Meanwhile, we got Matt Gaetz saying it's an open secret that the CIA has a UFO crash retrieval program. Love it.
What about UFOs? Well, we're learning more each and every day. You're getting the titrated leaking on the UFOs. Like, it's now open source information that the CIA has a program around craft recovery. It's not a question anymore. And so that's probably where I would start: the craft recovery and the biologics that have been taken from those crafts.
Are people going to be ready for that?
I think you got to let it out there.
I'm ready. What about you guys? Are you ready? But that is wild. We have a sitting congressman saying that, yeah, it's an open secret. It's open source that the CIA has a UFO crash retrieval program. Now, this is the age of UFO disclosure, guys. That is fantastic that we have come this far where a sitting congressman is willing to publicly talk about this stuff. Now, I mean, even if we don't have the president coming out and saying, my fellow Americans, we are not alone, we have this, and this is amazing. This is the age of UFO disclosures. Incredible. Speaking of which, we've got a new Soul Foundation conference coming up, or symposium, with some really great guests, including Dr. Eric Davis, of course, Tim Gallaudet, Ryan Graves, Leslie Kane, some people I'm less familiar with, but then we've got Jacques Vallée, and so a really interesting lineup. I can't wait to see their information and what they have to say. It's going to be November 22nd to 23rd. So keep your eyes on the Soul Foundation in November. That should be a good one. Meanwhile, some people were asking yesterday about the Bigfoot information that John put out there, John Stewart, and were wondering, hey, Jack, why are you talking about Bigfoot? What does that have to do with UFOs? It discredits the whole thing. Well, not at all. In fact, it sheds some insight into the whole thing. Bigfoot, multiple times, has been seen dealing with beings coming out of UFOs. Sometimes Bigfoot is even seen by experiencers aboard UFOs. There is a huge crossover and connection between Bigfoot and UFOs. They are very much linked, and they sometimes have weird signatures that are very similar to each other. Strange lights and so on that manifest before each of those phenomenon show up, whether a UFO or a Bigfoot. They are clearly linked. Whether Bigfoot was created as a hybrid species like the Nazca beings potentially by the UFO occupants or something else altogether. I don't know. I've heard multiple explanations on that. Let me know your theories about Bigfoot and how they might be connected to the occupants of UFOs in the comments below. But here is quotes. This is David Haith giving us a breakdown. I really appreciate David Haith's breakdowns of these podcasts. He says, quotes below from veteran UFO encrypted investigator Stan Gordon, who has found strong links between UFO craft, orbs, and Bigfoot sightings, sometimes all three appearing together. We're dealing with something that is both physical and non-physical. These things appear and disappear. Some of these orbs, balls of light, many UFO reports are so bizarre, but they're coming in now from reputable people. We're hearing reports, as weird as it is, of creatures changing into balls of light. Balls of light changing into creatures. Yeah, I've come across in my own research several different experiencers who have seen orbs and then beings coming out of them. Sometimes these beings are more alien. Sometimes they are Bigfoot. That's right. Bigfoot coming out of orbs, guys. It's a thing. It's a thing. You're going to hear more and more about this. Whatever we're dealing with, it's so beyond our present scientific understanding. The phenomenon is so strange, it protects itself, and I truly believe that the government is aware of this more and more. Oh, indeed they are. Congress, apparently, I believe they've been told now. I understand that interdimensional being or interdimensional has been brought up rather than ET. Yeah, they are talking more and more about NHI, non-human intelligence, as opposed to aliens. And part of the reason for that seems to be this expanded definition of the occupants of UFOs. They're not necessarily beings from another world. They may be from another level of reality. So yeah, fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. I love that more and more people are talking about this. Speaking of the weird stuff, I'm continually fascinated by the giants. What is going on with the giants? They seem to still be around. For example, the Kandahar giant story and a few other modern examples. But this is an historical example. As Vicky Verma reports, yes, it is true that an Aztec codex housed in the Vatican, because of course the Vatican has this stuff, depicts the death of the last of the Kinnamezan giants, I said that right, in the highlands of ancient Mexico, being dragged by a group of natives. According to Nahua tradition, the Kinnamezan giants were the inhabitants of a previous solar cycle and to whom the construction of Teotihuacan is sometimes attributed. There is a Mexican codex, the 101 Folio Codex Vaticanus 3738, also known as Codex Vaticanus A or Codex Rios. Simply, Aztec Codex contains this image of a giant called Kinnamezan. Also informs us that the Aztecs believed in a cosmos with 13 layers and various levels in the underworld. And here is the image of, apparently from this codex, depicting the humans apparently killing and dragging this giant. Now, is this one of the man-eating giants that were said to trouble some of the peoples of the Americas in ancient times, and that may still be troubling people in other parts of the world? For example, the Kandahar giant. The natives supposedly of that area were leaving offerings for it so that it wouldn't eat them. So yeah, so that it's crazy stuff, guys. We live in a crazy magical world. Bigfoot coming out of orbs in a world where giants might still exist. And the ancient people of the Americas were interacting with them, mostly negatively, seemingly. Unfortunately, I would love it if the giants were all peaceful and lovey-dovey, but most of the stories we have of them are negative and violent, unfortunately. But who knows? Who knows, guys? Let me know your theories about the giants in the comments below. However, it's worth noting that this was mainstream, like 100 years ago, the giants. There's multiple New York Times articles about the discovery of giant bones. And these weren't misidentified mammoth bones or something like that, or dinosaur bones. These were bones with a big, giant human-sized or human-shaped skull. So, this was mainstream back in the day until, early 1900s when this news began to be suppressed. And since then, it's been hard to find anything really substantial about the giants. The Smithsonian was apparently hiding and destroying the bodies that they were recovering, or that various people were recovering from the mounds of across America. So, yeah, what's up with that, guys? What is up with that? I would love to know your theories in the comments below. Meanwhile, what does the government know about all of this stuff? Well, we have from Matt Ford, from a guest of Matt Ford, Sarah Gam of the UAP Task Force, saying that indeed UAP cannot be explained by Russian or Iranian or Chinese craft. With all due respect to Jack Sephardi, who says they're all time traveling, foreign adversaries. She says, no, indeed, these are very clearly from other worlds.
You at least say, were there things that you saw that were clearly not from here? Maybe from our neighbors somewhere else?
Yes, absolutely. There was a few times when no doubt in my mind, that's not terrestrial, that's not from Earth, that's not an adversary craft. The way things maneuvered, G-forces experienced, disappear, reappear, pop back up. Sometimes it was, and I know I'm not saying anything new, but it's like it would play. And, pilots would lose track of something, and it's no doubt in your mind, not from Earth.
Not from Earth. Of course, could those, technical capabilities of these craft be explained by beings from the future? Yeah, I guess, guys. Let me know your theories in the comments below. I hate time travel, but it does seem to be a likely factor in all of this. However, I think it by no means explains most of it. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Meanwhile, more revelations about the what's it called? The Immaculate Constellation. I keep on wanting to call it Immaculate Conception. But Danny Sheehan is chiming in on this as well. He says, it's true. We've known about this particular whistleblower, as well as two others. We have confirmed the existence of the Immaculate Constellation UFO UAP program. If none of these three sources are called to testify publicly, Congress will essentially be failing in its constitutional duty. They are now on notice. Danny Sheehan is putting Congress on notice. I love it, guys. I love it. This program is completely unconstitutional, a violation of Article 1 of the Constitution, which is one of its most fundamental premises. You tell me how to say that, guys. But yeah, there you go. Here we have Merrick von Renning Camp also chiming in. If allegations that Immaculate Constellation quarantines and transfers UAP observations to avoid circulation in standard DoD IC reporting channels are accurate, that could explain how Arrow can plausibly claim that very few incidents reported to it are genuinely anomalous. Yeah, they have sneaky ways of getting around, official channels, and even to the extent of making things foilable. We've heard numerous reports how they will give reports orally, as instead of having to write them down, so they are not foilable, which is illegal, but they do it anyway. Other techniques are calling it a drone or something. Lou Elizondo has talked about this. They'll call it an unmanned aerial system. That way they don't have to call it a UAP or a UFO to make it less discoverable. They are very sneaky about this. So this could be another way of plausible deniability for Arrow. Very, very possible. Meanwhile, this has been making the rounds again, and this is one of my favorite all-time UFO videos, so I wanted to share it with you guys. If you haven't seen it, this is just fantastic. Well, let's listen to the sound, because there's some background noise. You can hear the birds and stuff. But yeah, a UFO pretending to be a cloud. I love it. This is just fantastic. There we go.
Cloud got sparkly lights in it.
Yeah, observe the lights in this thing. Every now and then you can see a little flicker of light, like right there and right there. Kind of looks like a manta ray a little bit. Yeah, we've heard that several times before, right? Isn't there supposed to be a manta ray craft under the Bradshaw Ranch? Something like that. Yeah, here it is in reverse. It's slowed down, and later on you can see it going again in forward motion, slow down. But yeah, look at the lights. I just think that's really intriguing. Yeah, a little glimpse of maybe some of the technology involved in this. I guess it's a cloaked craft. I don't know how else to describe this object, but it is definitely not just a cloud. Look at the solid shape of it. Of course, the flickering lights inside of it. It is a consistent shape as it moves through the sky. It's not CGI in my mind. This is a real object, very much manta ray shaped, pretending to be a cloud. I just think this is fantastic. Again, one of my favorite all-time UFO videos. Meanwhile, Tim McMillan also chimes in on Immaculate Constellation. He says, it was indeed a valid TS CSI ECI codename. This 2023 spike in Google traffic would 100% have been detected by program counterintelligence and security officers. That codename would have absolutely been changed. So we would have a new name now, and additional counterintelligence and security layers would have immediately been implemented. So if true, the likelihood of connecting that codename to a legitimate NSI program today would be slim and none. To be clear, I am in no way commenting on the validity of Michael Schellenberger's reporting. I am only offering some additional context as it relates to the NSI world. So yeah, that's a good point. If this program does exist, and we've had Jeremy Corbell and Danny Sheehan both say that yes, indeed it does. If it does exist at one point, or did exist, it has likely undergone a name change. I think that is all too likely. Unfortunately, Tim McMillan, he is probably right. Meanwhile, more people are digging into the representations, potentially, of the Nazca mummies or similar beings around the world. Now, I've talked about this multiple times, but I never really noticed this detail before, so I wanted to bring this up to you. This is one of the Dogu figurines, I believe is how you call them, and from Japan. And you can see the grooves on the cheek. Can you see those grooves right there? Well, it's very similar to the holes on the side of the Nazca mummies, of the little guys, which are basically identical to the slits or holes in the side of the Siberian alien, the small body that was recovered in Siberia. Again, I've talked about that before. So could these Dogu figurines, at least some of them, represent the Nazca mummies, or the beings that became the Nazca mummies. Oh, I am almost certain at this point that they had a global presence, and I have made several videos about some of the proof for that. And I think we're looking at more proof of that right now. And of course, you've also had this interesting shape in the chest of this being, which is very similar to that implant in one of the Nazca beings. Fascinating stuff. That implant also seems to be replicated in one of the petroglyphs in Nazca. I believe it's Nazca. Yeah, fascinating stuff. I love it. I love it. Oh, and let's see. We had more Nazca news from Jose de la Rios Lopez, who says, I think this is the new mummy that has been revealed, there is no nose or nasal septum, and the openings or holes of the nose or nostrils are far apart, a slit like a mouth without lips. This is undoubtedly reminiscent of the so-called Greys and an illustration of this being. That is so weird, guys. They didn't have a nose. This one didn't have a nose. But, of course, that's very similar to the Greys and many of the other beings that we have heard about. Yeah, like this guy right here. No nose. So strange. Definitely not, a human in any way that we understand it. But some of these beings do seem to have human DNA. Fascinating, guys. We are uncovering more and more information about the Nazca mummies all the time. I love it. I can't wait for that new documentary that's coming out in the very near future. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, we have more information on Immaculate Constellation, potentially from a Reddit post, from an anonymous Reddit poster. So take it with a grain of salt. But this anonymous Reddit poster is saying, in light of the recent program leak, I am compelled to disclose information obtained over the summer from an individual currently or formerly stationed at Travis Air Force Base in Fairfield, California. One, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, indeed, houses a significant portion, if not all, of the material and biological components of the program. 2, this material is securely stored underground in Hangar 18. And I'll link to this and you can read the full Reddit post at your leisure. Who knows who this individual is or if this information is legit. But there is for sure stuff at Wright Pat and has been historically. Ross Coulthard said at one point Wright Pat was a veritable parking lot of UFOs. So yeah, again, I'll link to this and you can read the full post at your leisure. But I did want to point it out to you if you hadn't seen it already. Meanwhile, we've got gorillas having a bath. Well, check this out, guys. All right, let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button. Beat the like button, just like this gorilla. And comment below. Buy some merch. There's t-shirts. There's coffee mugs. There's baseball caps in the merch store below. Buy one of my books. I'm a novelist. If you like science fiction or fantasy books, you might enjoy some of my novels. I also write horror. It's the season, so buy one of my horror books in the link below. Become a channel member to support the channel. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.